Everyone.
Hi.
I am Bharath Ramakrishnan from Microsoft Cloud Operation and Innovation Organization, and I'm part of the systems technology team. I'm here to talk about the OCP heat reuse subproject, the updates from the last year, what we have been working on, and we're going to dive deep into what's going to be the new outcomes and deliverables in the coming semesters. And before we get into the updates, I really want to thank all the volunteers and contributors. And I really appreciate your input and support in the last year. And we've been working on this workstream or this subproject for 2 years. By last year, we wanted to conquer and divide and conquer by splitting into 3 different work streams. So we have policies work stream, and we have an economics work stream, which is looking at the economic tools and models, and we have a reference design work stream, which develops these, how your heat exchanger room should look like, or things like that. So we do have updates from these different work streams right after this session. So please feel free to stay back or reach out to these different workstream leads for questions or follow-ups. And before we get in, the major theme or the objective of this group is to gather experiences and post the different opportunities and challenges that goes with enabling the sustainable infrastructure with waste heat reuse in it. And we are addressing that by creating different guidelines and guidance and specifications and requirements. And as you all might know, most of these waste heat reuse is driven by the policies and regulations happening in Europe majorly, and how we are addressing all these challenges and opportunities. We have given the QR code. Please feel free to scan it, and that will take you through an interactive heat reuse map, which shows all the different data centers across the globe, which has heat reuse installation in it. And if you don't see your data center out there, please feel free to reach out. We would update the database. And I'm going to dive deep on how we are using all this different information to develop a matchmaking tool that would bring us the data center operator, utility provider, or heat off-taker together. Okay, so how are we approaching this? And we have this guidance path, and we have developed the white papers in the past, which actually talks about the different challenges and opportunities of enabling waste heat reuse at scale. And we have also published the policies and regulations happening across the globe. And please feel free to check that out. And we wanted to constantly update the policies and regulations as they shape up in different parts of the globe. And these are some of the deliverables. We are working on developing a 2-page guideline that we could share with the local authorities in different municipalities on bringing awareness to heat reuse. And we are also working on a white paper which talks about the heat reuse reference design. Like I said, how big your heat exchange room should be, where we could tap heat reuse in your air cool facility or a liquid cool facility. So we are about to publish that in the coming weeks. The final draft is ready, and you should see the publication very soon. And like I said, we are also working on economics tool, and Jack here from our sub-project is going to talk about the economics of leveraging or the economic tool behind leveraging waste heat reuse in your data center. And in our guidance path, we accumulate all these different information, and we create this database for with different heat reuse cases, and that has information around a bunch of different things which I don't have time to dive deep. But we are going to use these different tools and information both on the economic side, which talks the CapEx, OpEx, TCO, and then we have tools which talks about the reference design, and we create these different SLDs, and how we are able to use all this information to assess if your data center or if you are heat reuse study. And that's the theme of today's talk, is to do an assessment. And with that, I pass it on to my colleague, Jaime.
Thank you, Bharath. Well, I'm Jaime Comella. I'm for working for AQ Compute. I'm co-leading this project together with Bharath. So here you have a very good picture of what we are doing and what we want to do. So the guidance path we are building on it. Just a short question, we'll improvise a little bit. Who's doing heat reuse here in this room? Raise your hand. Okay, who wants to do heat reuse? Who would like to do it? Who would love it? Or not so many. I thought it would be overwhelming that everyone would like it. Well, so we're here trying to find out what do you need to do it, to make it possible in your data center. So it might be very easy sometimes, but sometimes not. So this is what we are trying to do. So you're more than welcome to join our discussions and create this knowledge that is not very well extended everywhere. So about the heat reuse readiness assessment. So the question is how well placed or prepared is a data center for doing heat reuse, if it exists, or if it's still a project. How is your project planned? How is your project designed to welcome heat reuse? So that the idea is we have developed a checklist, so it's a spreadsheet with a certain number of attributes and parameters, and what are the optimum parameters that place you in a better position to do heat reuse. So it's an assessment that is done at the beginning and at the end. Well, it's the same tool, pretty much. So it can be done, can be used in different moments. And the idea in the end might be, we are still developing this, so please join and discuss this. So this is first time we present this in public, to develop maybe a certain scoring, yeah, maybe to score how well you're placed for doing heat reuse or not. Might be also introduced in the OCP ready assessment as a module of it. So please join and please develop the discussion. So how does it look like? As I said, it's a spreadsheet with the attributes, potential answers, the best answer that we believe is the best answer, the best position for doing heat reuse, organized along categories. And at the right hand, you have the resources that we are creating. So the reference designs, the economics tool. So this is where you can find more information to know how to answer and to know why we have chosen these answers. So this is just a quick overview because it was very small, and we knew that this was going to happen. But just going category after category, not reading everything, just jumping a little bit fast because there is also not much time. And in the end, there is a QR code, so you can access to this table and leave your comments. Yeah, so this is an open tool as everything in the OCP. So the first thing is the preliminary work that you have to do when thinking about a heat reuse project. This is a lot of politics. Yeah, you have to talk to the local authorities, know the regulations, know if there are incentives, subventions. This is sometimes essential, since data centers are usually not really acting as a heat provider. They are really focusing on their business. So they need to know what is around there and what kind of subventions are there, and how is the situation look like in that area. That's why also we are developing a lot of guidance in the policies area, because this is a very important part for heat reuse. Then we got the technical parameters, right? The reference designs, which, as Bharath said, there will be a presentation afterwards, is defining how this heat reuse station, heat reuse room, call it station or room, yeah, because it can be inside the building, outside, can look like, yeah. We need a certain space to be dedicated for the heat exchangers and other machines that will come there, or devices. We need also to think about space for potential heat pumps, if you are really bringing heat pumps onto your data center, or storage tanks, so hot water storage tanks. And also we are asking in this checklist, what are the temperature levels? Of course, the higher the better. This is a very easy answer. What type of liquid or fluid you are using, and also if you are only using one liquid or one fluid or many of them. Then we talk about the metrics. Yeah? Metrics are important to quantify it and to see what are the impacts, the final impacts of the heat reuse. This is not always a straightforward answer, because sometimes by introducing heat pumps, you are consuming more energy. So in the end, from a global perspective, from the data center global perspective, you are consuming more energy than you are avoiding, and the same happens with the water impact. If you take into account the global impact, so introducing as well the impact in the third parties, this can be completely, this view changed completely, right? Because, of course, the global impact is always positive, is always better. But we are here to define the impacts from a data center perspective. And then how you are aligning with this heat demand outside your data center, how you are coping with the seasonality, the variation, the intraday variation, how many hours you're storing heat, etc. So these are relevant topics to be addressed. And then how many off-takers, how many users do you have from this heat? Only having one makes that more complicated. If you have 3 or 4, it will make your use case much better. So as I said, this is a beta version or an initial version, is online. We want to finish this by the end of the year. It will have a white paper with it, so the white paper will be the contribution, and there will be a link to this assessment inside of the white paper, so it will be a living document. And well, we want to explain this white paper, how this tool works and what are the objectives of this tool. So this is it about the heat reuse readiness assessment. Yeah. Well, and we discuss about this in our monthly calls. We have 4 calls per month, 1 per workstream, and this is the general call where we are holding these discussions. And with this, Bharath.
So I want to briefly update some of the major takeaways from last year, and we updated the old map, and we updated with new information with the site location, the capacity, and type of data center, and facility water temperature out. And we did that in collaboration with Bytes to Heat, and we constantly are updating this database, which helps us in developing these tools or these matchmaking platforms later. And we wanted to expand this across the globe. And you can see a lot number of installations with heat reuse in data centers, especially in Europe, again largely driven by the policies and regulations. That is in stark contrast with what you see in the Americas, where we don't see a lot of heat reuse installation. Then again, we wanted to bring that awareness to the group. And this is something that we would be focusing on in the upcoming quarters, which talks about quantifying this for an use case scenario. So we want to start off with something simple. Of course, there is not going to be one data center type, and Microsoft have announced 2 heat reuse installations in the Nordics. But we all know there are different types of data center design and facilities coming out, especially with the influence of AI and liquid cooling with it. So, and how that interacts with the performance, and how we are essentially developing a benchmarking where we are going to compare the heat reuse scenarios from these different data center type and data center design, and compare that with a base scenario where there is no heat reuse. And we're going to back that up with how it influences your energy consumption, and how it influences the important metrics of PUE, WUE, and CUE, and more importantly, the ERF, the energy reuse factor, or energy reuse effectiveness. So we are going to be focusing on all these activities in the coming quarters, and we would like to invite you all to come contribute, give feedbacks, share feedbacks, and that is crucial for us going forward. And also I also want to point out the future work, and the core idea of, or the core theme again for OCP is going from ideas to impact. So we wanted to hear from you all, what are the ways that we could leverage this waste heat right at the server level, and how we could take that for scaled up heat reuse. With that, I would pass it down to Jaime to wrap up.
Yeah, only 2 slides more, and we finish. We're out of time, yeah. So you saw maybe in the first day in the keynote that we are collaborating with Net Zero Innovation Hub, that there has an agreement between the OCP and the Net Zero Innovation Hub. Within this sub-project is a place where this collaboration will take place, precisely, well, so far within the reference designs, because they want to build pilots, heat reuse pilots, especially around Europe, and they want to use our guidance as a starting point. Also, the matchmaking platform that Bharath mentioned, something that is external to the OCP and will be developed by third parties, but where the OCP will be involved as well. So this is like the Tinder of the heat reuse, we call it. I mean, so where we can we can meet the demand and the offer of it. And finally, well, this is just the call to action. Please join our calls. We have 4 of them, maybe more in the future with more work streams. Yeah, especially the map. The map is something I tell every time. I mean, the map is only useful if we really take care of it and put the details up there. So please, if you know a use case of heat reuse, let us know. We'll upload it, and let us know also the details of that heat reuse, what's happening there. Well, thank you all.
Thank you all.